Greetings, fellow scribes! Welcome back to the archive. This week, I conclude my series on Kult Divinity Lost by talking about the systems. Now, I cannot speak for previous editions. I do know that the modern version, the Divinity Lost system, is based off the Powered by the Apocalypse system. So it has its own way of handling things that may or may not be similar to earlier editions. At the same time, I think it's a really interesting system. So sit back, relax, and enjoy as I talk about the systems of Kult Divinity Lost. So let's start with the first most obvious element of the system. It is a 2x10 based system. And what this, in this case, means is you will roll 2x10, add them and some appropriate modifier to your die roll. If your die roll is 9 or less, it is a failure. If your total is 10 to 14, it is a success with complications. If it is a 15 or higher, it is a complete success. Now, whenever you do something, whether GM or player does something, it is called a move. GM moves do not involve the GM making a dice roll. In fact, the GM moves don't directly do anything. Instead, the GM moves put a situation out for a character to react to. Say you have some sort of horrible monster running down the hallway at you, and it leaps and jumps at you. The GM, describing that, has done the GM's move. You, then, as the player, do your move. In this case, your move is most likely going to be the move of avoid harm. Avoid harm is whenever something would hurt you, and you dodge, parry, or block it. So it would be somebody shooting at you. It would be a bus careening down through the front of a building. Or it would be a horrible monster leaping at you, trying to eat your face. So you would roll your avoid harm. And that is going to be 2x10 plus your reflexes. So your reflexes, whatever that is added to the roll. If you have an injury and you are trying to avoid the penalties for that injury, you are going to take a move called Endure Injury. If something is absolutely horrifically in front of you, I mean, you're getting confronted with stuff man was not meant to know, you would do a Keep It Together move, which is your willpower added to that, etc., etc. And that's what I find interesting about the game, about the system for it, is it does not actually have the GM do anything. Well, anything directly. You getting your face eaten by a monster isn't because the GM rolled good. It's because you rolled bad. it puts on the GM exclusively telling the story. The players, everything that happens to them becomes their fault. It was the fault of their player influencing their character. So it's a interesting approach. No one's going to accuse the GM of fudging the dice rolls, because the GM doesn't. And in fact, this means that there is no fudging the dice rolls in this system to help save a PC. The player knows what they rolled. And they would really not like it if you fudge things in their favor. Where you have the freedom is the success, but with complications. And complications you get to be creative with. You know, in the case of the monster rushing to eat your face, you dodge it, but it's caught your jacket. Or maybe it's right behind you, and you've got its friend right in front of you. So you're flanked. What are you going to do? And that is the gist of the system for Kult Divinity Lost. It's a relatively flexible and relatively open-ended system. And it puts the onus on the players, not the GM. But let's talk about character creation now, shall we? So, Kult's character creation is an archetype-based system. What does that mean? That means the individual archetypes are fairly broad and represent specific sort of professions, but at the same time, they come with a set of abilities to pick from. Sort of advantages and disadvantages to take. And the sorts of dark secrets those sorts of characters have. Now, yes, it is possible to build a character from scratch. Build a character without an archetype. And, pretty much the character creation for everything amounts to the same. And making a character freehand is just sort of doing it without the archetype, but you're still probably, if someone actually looks at what you built, you're probably going to fit into one of the archetypes anyway. Because they have a bunch, and they're very broad. And in fact, the list of things for them tend to be along the lines of, from among these, or your choices include these. So let's just, to really give a good overview of it, let's pick one of the archetypes and go through building a character with it. I'm going to go with the very first archetype in the book, the academic. Alright, the academic, first thing you're going to do is you're going to pick your occupation. You can choose from their list or pick one, or invent your own. Examples are professor, student, PhD candidate, teacher, aristocrat, researcher, antiquarian, those sorts of things. Now, you pick a dark secret. And the suggestions for an academic are forbidden knowledge, guardian, occult experience, return from the other side, strange disappearance. Now, most of these are self-explanatory. Forbidden knowledge, you know stuff you shouldn't. Occult experience, you've encountered something occult. Return from the other side. Congratulations! You've started off having experienced Metropolis, or the Underworld, or Inferno, etc., etc. The other two, Guardian and Strange Disappearance, are a little different. Strange Disappearance means someone's disappeared around you, and it's kind of got people talking, wondering about it. Now then, the Guardian, on the other hand, Guardian means that you have been chosen to protect a important object, place, or person. So, you are protecting something from things that are out there. It's not that you have someone watching over you. That wouldn't be much of a secret now, would it? After you've picked your dark secret, everyone has a dark secret, you pick two disadvantages. The suggestions for an academic are nightmares, obsession, phobia, repressed memories, rationalist, or stalker. In this case, stalker means you have a stalker. But those are just the suggested disadvantages. You can actually go ahead and take any two disadvantages you want. These are just the most thematically applicable. You then pick 3 advantages. Advantages are not suggestions. These are pretty much what you're picking from. Academic network. Authority, meaning you have some position of authority. Elite education. Collector. Data retrieval. Expert. Occult studies. And elite sport. Again, most of these are fairly self-explanatory with what they do. Occult studies means you know about the occult. Collector means you collect things, etc., etc. After you have gone through that portion of your character, you get to pick your attributes. Now, you have 3 passive attributes: fortitude, reflexes, and willpower. One of these is at +2. One of these is at +1. One of these is at +0. And they are what they are. Fortitude is, how tough you are, how enduring, etc., etc. Reflexes is how quickly you act. And willpower is how strong your willpower is. From there, you then get to assign to the 7 active attributes. Charisma. This is your force of personality, how well people react to you. Coolness. This is how you stay cool under pressure. Intuition is your ability to leap to conclusions, to figure things out without logic, so to speak. Perception is observation, whether you see things around you. Reason is, using logic and deduction. Soul is more or less your spirit, your proclivities towards supernatural things, and it's also sort of your defense against many of them. And violence. It is your capacity to inflict harm upon others. For these 7 attributes, you get to assign 1 at +3, 1 at +2, 2 at +1, 1 at +0, 1 at -1, and 1 at -2. And at that point, you've got the mechanical stuff for your character done. Almost everything that in other games we'd be thinking of as a skill is linked to one of your attributes, and is often linked to an advantage as well. From there, you're going to pick your looks, your clothes, your face, your eyes, your body type, all that. You're going to name your character. And then you're going to get to your relations. Each character has a relationship with the other party members. One party member is selected to get one of the special ones related to your occupation, your archetype. So for the academic, you get to pick one of these. One of the characters studied the same campus as you, and you became good friends. Take +1 relation with each other. One of the characters is your relative. One of the characters met you at a seminar. You hired one of the characters as an assistant for a research project. Or one of the characters is your lover. Take relation +1 or +2 with them. So you have one of these relationships with one of the other PCs. Then you get to pick 3 other relationships. 1 neutral with a +0, 1 meaningful with a +1, and 1 vital with a +2. And these don't necessarily have to be to the other PCs, but it is recommended that they are. Relations are this really big thing for this game. It makes it so you and the other PCs have reasons that you are working together. You know each other. You're not just, oh, look, we're a bunch of people who met in a bar and weird stuff happened. No, you're connected in some way. And that is character creation for Kult. Character advancement is its own fine kettle of fish. After each session, you're going to ask the players 3 questions. Have we discovered anything new about the truth? Have we learned anything new about our characters? have we challenged ourselves? Each question that a player can justify answering yes to, they get 1 XP. And when you accumulate 5 XP, the player can choose to make an advancement. And advancements basically boil down to, when you advance in your archetype, you choose one of a list of options. You can increase one active attribute by +1. You can increase one passive attribute by +1. You can increase any one attribute +1. You can select a new advantage from your archetype. After you've advanced 5 times, you can also choose to increase any one attribute +1. Select a new advantage from any aware archetype. End your character's story arc as you see fit, and create a new aware character who starts with 2 advancements. Replace your current archetype with another aware archetype and erase one of your starting 3 advantages. After 10 advancements, you can choose advance your character to an enlightened archetype. Now, one of the interesting things with this is you can actually only take many of these advancements a limited number of times. That's why some of these things have overlap. Like, increase one active attribute +1. You can take that a maximum of 6 times. Which is why you also have the increase any one attribute. And that's character advancement. It's literally I accrue XP till I hit 5, then I cash those in and do something. And that is Kult Divinity Lost. It's a actually simple and elegant system. I would love to see more uses of it. I'd like to take a look at more games using the Powered by the Apocalypse system, just because of how it works in Kult. Though I do know the system has been modified for Kult Divinity Lost, because, well, any system is modified for the game it uses. Next week, I'm going to begin a probably longer than I expected to be series of videos talking about one of my favorite board games. Next week, we go back to the good old days of FASA and eventually Catalyst Game Labs, and we start talking Battletech, the game that we fans of it jokingly say, after the nukes fall, it's what the cockroaches will be playing. Until then, I'd like you all to remember to have fun and keep gaming.